On December 16th, audio of Tom Cruise screaming at some crew members on the set of Mission Impossible Part 7 leaked online. In not so many words, it was communicated to these crew members that they were to abide by the safety measures or they would be looking for new jobs. To me, this was something of a non-story, so I didn't really bother doing a video about it. But now we have a follow-up. 5 crew members quit the production after Cruise went into another screaming rage, one which thus far has not been leaked online. In this editorial then, I'll go through whether or not Tom Cruise was justified in screaming at the crew in the first place, and given that he reportedly did so again, if the crew were justified in quitting. As any filmmaker will tell you, hell, as any working professional will tell you, whether you lay bricks or trade commodities, if you screw up badly enough, you're gonna get screamed at. It isn't always right, it may not always be fair, but then again, maybe you deserved it. That may come as a surprise to those who grew up sheltered and were always told that they were special and could do no wrong, but that's reality. In fact, I could think of a few executives and other creatives who really needs a good scolding from their superiors. The simple fact of the matter is that in high-stress situations where you didn't deliver what was expected of you, tensions may flare and manifest themselves in loud, emotionally charged vocal expression. I don't doubt for a second that filming Mission Impossible Part 7 is indeed a high-stress situation. Not only is it scaled and filmed for a worldwide theatrical release, which there might not be a marketplace to support by the time it's ready for release, the already substantial budget was ballooned further by proof-proofing the production. They've already been shut down once, which no doubt cost additional tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're being watched very carefully. There are probably some official parties out there that are itching to shut them down, just to send a message. So not just as an actor, but as a producer and financial stakeholder, Tom Cruise is, in my opinion, entirely justified in clamping down on anyone who doesn't take the COOF measures seriously. Now, you can argue whether or not those restrictions and measures are actually scientific. You can argue if they actually help, or if they're mostly symbolic. You can argue if standing 2 meters away from someone is really safer than 1 meter, or if it doesn't really make any difference until the distance reaches 5 meters. You can argue all of that, but that's a conversation best held in private on your own free time. On the job, in this case on set. Whatever private misgivings one may or may not have about the efficiency of or need for restrictions need to be cast aside, and replaced with the attitude that these restrictions are now part of the job description. Agree with them or not, right here and now, they are what make this job possible, so just abide by them. Cruise actually made that point in his initial rant, and it was a point well made. Right now, loads of people all across the world are losing their jobs. They're losing their ability to support their families and even provide housing. Completing this production is kind of a big deal, and it would suck if it were to be shut down because some crew members stood too close to each other while watching a computer screen, even if none of them were sick or got sick from it. That is actually besides the point, because again, it's not about the efficiency of the measures themselves. It's about sticking to them regardless, because that is a requirement for the production to proceed. From his leaked rant, it would appear that this was not a first-time offense, so Cruise lashed out. And given the situation, he was entirely justified in doing so. If anything, those crew members were lucky they were just screamed at, as opposed to fired on the spot. You would think they would be appreciative of that, as there aren't that many other productions that are hiring right now. But even so, according to the Daily Mail, 5 crew members quit after Tom Cruise went on another rant. Were they justified in doing that? The Daily Mail references a scoop from The Sun, which says, "Another eruption followed on Tuesday night, as news of his rant emerged. A source said, The first outburst was big, but things haven't calmed since. Tension has been building for months, and this was the final straw. Since it became public, there has been more anger and several staff have walked. But Tom just can't take anymore, after all the lengths they have gone to just to keep filming at all. He's upset others aren't taking it as seriously as him. In the end, he's the one who carries the can. Again, this is true. Tom Cruise is a major stakeholder here, both as star, producer, and partially as financier, as he reportedly funded some of the extra protective measures himself. From the crew's point of view, however, that probably does not make Tom Cruise any easier to work with, and that is a factor here. Ask any fan or interviewer that has had casual interaction with him, and they'll tell you that Tom Cruise is a nice guy. A bit of a weirdo and overtly energetic perhaps, but a nice guy nonetheless. But ask those who have had deeper interactions with him and who are willing to come forward, then a somewhat different picture emerges. During a Reddit Q&A a few years back, which was picked up by a number of outlets at the time, actress and former Scientologist Leah Remini was asked if Tom Cruise is a nice person, to which she replied, "No. Just going to get straight to it, no. There is a public persona of the guy who looks at you directly in the eye and shakes your hand and hugs you and is an attentive person to you, and there's the person behind the mask, who is a completely different person," she bluntly responded. Someone could say we all have that, what we are to the public and who we are behind the scenes, but the people who are around Tom and work for Tom, not even people who are Scientologists, they will say he is diabolical, she added. She went on to say, "People who've worked with me will say I can be an asshole. All actors can be. That is different. He is very similar to David Miscavige. They could be twins." Now, a couple of points here. First and foremost, this David Miscavige, who allegedly could be Tom's twin, is Scientology's chairman of the board, effectively its supreme ruler. There are numerous published and heavily publicized accusations against him, and among them is that he is alleged to be verbally and physically abusive towards his staff. Other defectors have made similar claims regarding Cruise. Then again, you also have stories about Cruise going above and beyond for his crew on occasion. So taking all of this back to the topic at hand, if all of these reports are to be believed, a happy Tom Cruise is awesome to be around, while a stressed out Tom Cruise just might contribute to a more than average hostile working environment. I must admit that there was a point where I thought that this leak was a planted one, intended to show the world how awesome and safe and secure Tom Cruise is, and how seriously COOF protocols are taken by the production. But if this follow-up story is indeed accurate, then Cruise wasn't happy about his rant leaking, and if things were bad on set before, well then they can't possibly be any better now. I honestly don't know if these crew members who quit were just snowflakes who couldn't take being put in their place, or if they weren't that serious about the job in the first place, or if things were so miserable and tense on set that no one should be expected to put up with it under any circumstance. Perhaps we'll learn more details as time goes by, but for now, I hope it was a case of the former, namely that these crew members weren't subjected to any worse than they should be expected to suck up, as it comes with the territory. I also hope they will be replaced by people who know how to appreciate having a job right now, and that the production won't suffer any more undue delays. But we'll see what more information comes to light. That could change how we should view this. Till then, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments.